Trams are coming back. It's exciting. They're finally coming back. We also have some holiday updates for you from around the parks, a Universal Parks update for you, and we're going to talk about Magic Mobile and what it means for you, all next on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for December 5th, 2021. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you haven't joined us before, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. Give us a big thumbs up because it helps us to be found. We've got a great panel tonight, starting with Mr. Eric Morton.
Kongaloosh or Sivako or whatever we're saying these days.
That'll fly. That works. Desi?
Happy birthday, Walt.
Yeah, exactly. Happy birthday, Walt. And Coach.
Hey, it's game time. Let's do this. I'm excited. I just got back from the parks myself, so let's get rolling.
Like literally just now. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's good work.
Right back to
Connecticut. Yeah, nice job.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna start. We're gonna start with our Around the Hub segment, going and sharing all the news from around the parks. And like I said at the top, man, trams are back. Well, not yet. They're coming back. They're still sitting in the parking lot. But if you watch this really cool little video from well, you don't need to hear that, but you can see that they're excited to show us that these trams are here, and I don't know. It's a little lackluster for me. I've been complaining for a while now that Dollywood has had trams all along, and for some reason it's taken 952 days to get trams back up and running as if it's some luxury item. But when you go trekking through those parking lots, and Coach, I'll go to you on this first because you were just there with your family. What do you feel like? I mean, how is that trek through the parking lot when you're dragging a bunch of kids?
The struggle is real. I actually hummed the 5K. I was looking to buy my medal when I walked in the park. We were there over Thanksgiving break, so it was definitely a little more congested than usual, although not as much as we had thought. But we parked, we drove, so we did park at MK, and it was interesting to see cast members holding up signs that said, "Your walk is 10 minutes from here," which was sort of insulting. Just have that person drive the tram, and then I don't have to walk. But it was a little sad when we drove home, and all the trams were just sort of sitting there, not moving. I cried a little. I was a little sad, I'll be honest.
So, just for everybody who doesn't know, you live up north. I'm in the central of the nation, so you get to Disney very rarely or sporadically. I go more than I probably should. But Eric, you're a local, and I'm going to say that Desi's local adjacent. So all the things that we're talking about, I feel like we've got a pretty good mix here of all that. Yeah. But Eric, you go a lot. How has it been day in and day out when you go to the parks, without the trams?
I'm just glad that they didn't have Christine McCarthy make this announcement that they're back and talk about guest waistlines like she did with smaller portions on the food. For my fat ass, it's probably okay to walk a little bit extra for the tram, but every now and then you get a really bad parking spot. I've had a Simba 128 or something like that a while back, all the way at the end. It was legit 15-minute walk just to the TTC. That was a little bit rough. Yesterday, I was at Epcot Discover 20, all the way the next to last car at the end. Another long walk. I could probably use it after a little carb loading at Epcot. But no, there's no excuse for these two have been gone for so long. They've been kind of coy about when all the others are coming back. I think they said Magic Kingdom's coming back within the next month, and everybody else, throughout 2022. So who knows what that means. Hopefully we see these back soon. I know I've seen people who have mobility issues, who maybe aren't, who are not handicapped by definition, don't carry a placard in their car, but definitely this walk is a bigger challenge for them, especially when if you're wrangling kids or you have mobility issues. I just see this is a standard amenity that should be there for all guests right now, and we're kind of slow playing this. They kind of acted like this is a big deal, like we're building a new land in a park or something.
Yes, you should be ecstatic that we're finally giving you back the thing that should have been there all along. You're welcome. Yeah. We're going to go a little bit extra innings on this one because I want to ask you this too, is that like I don't know, but there's not a courtesy like solution for people with mobility issues, right? To my knowledge.
So I have seen, actually, I think once someone had us hop into my friend had like a walking cast, and they actually, I think they had us hop in the back of a golf cart, but it was like the guy happened to be driving by. It wasn't like, hey, flag us down if you need help. It was like the guy's like, I don't know, I got to go empty a trash can somewhere, so hop on. But I don't think they have an established way of doing it. They probably have something where you can call if you need it, but
this isn't unique to Disney World. This is Disneyland as well. So the fact that they've done this is definitely a decision that they've made. Desi, your thoughts on this?
Well, Friday night, I was in Epcot, and I was told by somebody that he might be in Epcot too. And so as I waited to see if he was actually going to show up or not, I decided to start walking very slowly back to my car. And it was a very long walk, and yet I still didn't hear back from him until after I started driving away.
That's a horrible story. It has nothing to do with trams. So anyway.
Doesn't sound like a friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
the word.
Somebody whose name
just not good.
rhymes
It's
with
not
Bob Whiteside.
No, it's not a good story. So look, let me go over here to what I like to call Walcott, because when you go into Epcot, there are plenty of walls. There's this picture of Moana, Journey of Water. Right now, it doesn't quite look like the picture, does it? And it feels like it's been like this for a long time. And so, we've written this article on WDWNT.com about how these stone pillars have been put into place here. But it just, I don't understand why things like this take so long. And the fact that it doesn't look like anything's here. The fact that this white, like, almost holding place here is, like, at least makes me feel like, okay, that could be the entrance to it. Now it's starting to sort of look like that. In the same vein, we had some color issues with the pylons on the side of the Universe of Energy building that is now going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. They decided to paint the whole thing orange like this original artwork, and then come back and then go, you know what, let's pretend like that never happened and put out a different piece of artwork that says it was black. And then they've damaged some of the building in doing all this painting. And then they came out with this video that said, oh, hey, look, let's explain color palette to you. I'm shocked. It's like, Eric, I don't know how much you know about construction, but isn't this something you usually do before you paint the entire building?
Yeah, I think that's the case. Now, in the case of the Moana Journey of Water, I think quite often, like I've worked on construction projects before in project management where it looks like nothing's happening because they're driving like equipment back and forth across like ground for a long time. And once that site prep is done, it kind of picks up pace. But this Cosmic Rewind thing, I walked past there yesterday and people in my group unprompted looked at the paint and were like, ooh, that does not look good. So if you go to that picture you had where you see the that kind of wall you would see as you come around the corner from guest relations, all the way up there's like, it just looks really bad. And so I imagine they made a decision eventually. They said, look, that wasn't it. There you go. Look at that. So if you look up high, well, it looks better in this picture than it did in person. If you look up high, there's like dripping. There's all kinds of, it's just a mess. And then there was a lot of damage to those copper pieces that looks like someone put like some kind of bonding solution on there, try to clean it up like you do when you move out of a cheap apartment and you want to get your like your deposit back, and like toothpaste in the picture holes. Yeah, it was looking pretty. Yeah. Yesterday it looked very rough, and people commented on it without being prompted. I didn't even say anything. I was just like, yep. So good on them. Hey, the color palette doesn't work in reality. Let's change it because we've figured out the conditions are different than what we had in a boardroom or in an artist rendering.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Coach, did you get to look at this eyesore?
Yeah, it was worse than I expected. We had been there in July and we came back and it was just like, wow, have they done anything other than colors on the ball? It was definitely depressing. To to Eric's point, I've worked in construction myself, and there is generally an overarching plan of how things are supposed to go. There's a lot of things going on. You got a lot of contractors that have to be coordinated and things of that nature. If only they had had a long period of time where no one was in the park and they could have worked on a project like this uninterrupted, where they didn't have to worry about having walls up. That probably would have been a little easier than trying to figure out how to get everything. But it's bad. I mean, you walk by and you're like, what is going on? I mean,
Are you saying this was not Walt Disney's vision of the future?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, yeah, to Eric's part, site prep, I don't know what they're doing. There's a lot of people, I'm guessing, that are looking at each other. I did see kind of a meme about it where it was about Disney firing somebody, and there was a bunch of managers standing around a circle, and they were pointing at a guy named Bob, and they're like, we have to cut. And Bob was there digging a trench, and they're like, Bob, we got to let you go. We don't have the funds to fund this project. And it was just, I think there's a lot of that going around, unfortunately, but there wasn't a lot of urgency. Let's put it that way. There's a lot of guys standing around looking at each other. So.
Well, and they're working on this entranceway with this star in front of it for the the Novacore emblem for the Wonders of Xandar.
Xandarian star.
Yeah, the Wonders of Xandar Pavilion. Eric, are you ever going to call it the Wonders of Xandar Pavilion, or will you call it Guardians?
Who knows? I might get LARPy one day, but at the current iteration of the universe we live in, just going to call it the Guardians area.
All right, so speaking of LARPy, Desi, thoughts?
Is anyone really going to call it Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind, and the Wonders of Xandar? Probably not. They're just going to call it the Guardians Coaster. I don't even remember what the name of the Guardians ride is at California Adventure, the one that replaced Tower of Terror.
Mission Breakout.
Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout.
I also call that the Guardians Tower. So
yeah, me too. But Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, Guardians of the Galaxy Monsters After Dark. I guess it's Mission Breakout. That's how that works. But yeah, I don't know that anybody's going to be calling this the Wonders of Xandar Pavilion. That was just a side thought that I had on that one. But again, I mean, we were talking about this on ParksCenter like 2 years ago about, just the devastation that had fallen into Epcot. And they've had all these walls up everywhere. And I just feel like if it was your first trip to Disney, this would just suck. And so I had said to Tom, I was like, I feel like this should have been done.
Wait till you get the bill.
I thought it should have been done piece by piece. He says, well, yeah, but that could take years. Well, yeah, it's taking years. And in the meantime, we are down. How many pavilions? We don't have the Play Pavilion. We don't have the Wonders of Xandar. We got budget cut out of Cherry Tree Lane and the overhaul of Spaceship Earth. I mean, that's at least open right now. I mean, there's so much just devastation going on. And I mean, let's get to that Connection Cafe. That's really the linchpin of the future of Epcot.
Yeah, that thing's coming together quick, by the way. All the windows are in as of yesterday that I saw.
It's because that makes money.
Yeah, that makes me sad. But holidays make me happy. Like there's nothing more fun than seeing the holidays come to life at a Disney park, and I mean that in all sincerity. And especially when our little friend Figment has this cool sweater, this cool holiday sweater that they started doing last year, it was a nice touch. I mean, here's an attraction that is very neglected. We don't know when they're going to do something new to it. It used to be great, and then they made it awful, and then they made it slightly less awful, and now it's just been sitting there forever. So it's nice to see them putting that in. And now, what? Merchandise? Are you kidding me? They've got sweater magnets, and they've got phone cases.
Now I need to buy all the things.
Here's
a snow finder.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's so fun. It's so cool. But here's the problem that I have, Coach. Why is there not a Figment sweater?
I know when we went into Epcot, we stopped in the whatever that new store is that I felt like was basically
the creation shop.
IKEA, and yeah, IKEA one had a baby. But it was definitely, we walked in there and it was very confusing. We tried to find some AP merch, and the AP merch was horrific. It was bad. We wanted to spend money, and we were like, this is no. And it was just sitting there. It seems like Bob Chapek is supposed to be this like merchandise guru, and he doesn't understand like people want this, like they want to give you money for this stuff. This isn't even a tough sell, but yet you get me a phone case that has cool 3D effects on the back of it and a magnet. I don't get it. I don't. You knew you were building that. You were putting that sweater. I don't think someone just randomly decided, oh, what do we got in the back? Let's throw a sweater on this. Like you obviously ordered it. It's confusing to me. It's very confusing.
It's confusing to me. I feel like it should have been out day one. I feel like now it looks like if they're going to do it, they'll probably do it next year. But Desi, you did not know this merchandise existed, and now you're going to need this. Did you get your Life Day merchandise too?
I did. I got my Life Day merchandise, and I'm not going to take complete credit for this, but I will point out that the week after I went on my rant about no Life Day, they announced that they were going to have Life Day stuff. And then the week after I said that I wanted to see Figment in a sweater, they put Figment in a sweater. So I'm not saying it's all me, but no, I think they're listening.
As someone who has to deal with merchandise, that's exactly how it works. Yeah. Yeah. 6 minutes after somebody mentions it, it's there.
I know.
That's 101 for merchandise.
Also, right after Eric pointed out that they didn't mention trams is when they announced Trams were coming back.
That I can believe. Yes. You want to take credit for that?
Eric, I'm going to take credit.
Yeah, but they also didn't mention Bob Chapek. He's still here.
True. Hey, let me ask you this, Eric. So, speaking of the holidays, you went, I believe you rode this last night, that, this started
I did.
Back in October 27th, we posted that they were starting to put lights in for this holiday overlay for Living with the Land, and you got to see the full experience last night?
Yeah. If you watched our Genie series, the Disney Genie series that Jake and I did, they were putting up lights that day we went, so I was very excited, especially because this has become kind of a big deal internally. 25-minute posted wait time last night for Living with the Land.
Wow.
And it was really, in reality, like probably a 10-minute wait time, but we did. It was beautiful. It looks great. They plus it just a little bit every year. I think it's great because it feels a little bit homegrown. Like it doesn't feel like a corporate, like Macy's hired decorators. It feels like the people that worked there just went out and did this out of love. I love it. Yeah,
it's kind of like the spectacle of dancing lights. It starts out small, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it seems like, though, that, and again, I was talking to Tom about this, is that it feels like that they did it first organically, kind of like you're talking about, and then over time they were like, hey, we can actually feature this as some sort of, like, in all the promotions of things we're doing, as like, a destination. It's an actual
25-minute posted wait time. I mean, people care. People want to see it. People want to see the Christmas lights on shrimp. They didn't have them on the shrimp, by the way, but people want to see that.
My concern is that the whole the aqua farming area, the aquaculture area, is red. Like, I think for the good of the fish. And now you're going to go and line all the fish tanks with these bright green lights. That doesn't jive with the canon that you need those red lights. No?
Look, I'm not a marine biologist. Maybe it helps them.
Are you sure? I thought that. Oh no, you're just a marine, not a marine biologist. Gotcha.
That's not even a diploma. That's just some certificate. Yeah, sorry.
So more holiday.
The expectations are of my family. We frame certificates.
More holiday magic. They took the big space ball and they made it into a big present. Desi, did you get to watch this show at all?
I did, and it was so cute, and I think it's magical. I love the lights on Spaceship Earth. I think that's a nice touch that they've done. So between that and the Candlelight Processional, I had a very jolly time this weekend.
Yeah, so the Candlelight Processional has kicked off as well. Did you go standby, or did you do a dinner package, or how did you do that?
I did the stand behind the rope thing. So I didn't do standby or dinner package. I just stood in the back and listened to it.
It's a wonder we didn't bump into each other, Desi.
I know. It was so cute, and I loved how at the end Jodie Benson said, "Thank you for letting me be part of your world."
Aw. You know what? I feel like Jodie Benson, I hope I never hear anything bad about her, because she seems to be genuinely in love with this company and just truly honored to be Ariel. Like, so I mean,
She's the
at
best.
yeah, at D23, they had the whole thing where they inducted all the princesses into the legends, and they did the ceremony, and she actually pulled out her cast member ID card to show everybody, because she's just so excited, I think, to be part of your world.
Part of
There you
our
go.
world.
And then I think y'all went on different nights. I think Desi, you went Friday night. Eric, you went Saturday.
I went last night. Yeah, she was
How was it?
wonderful. The Spaceship Earth looks beautiful, fantastic. I stood in front of it taking pictures for like 10 minutes. Jodie Benson was amazing. Again, like Desi, I stood from afar. I had a friend who was in the choir, so I want to make sure I got a picture with them both in it, so I could say it was Jodie Benson opening for my friend. No, I thought it was lovely. The choir is smaller than normal years
That's what I was
for
going to ask.
the Candlelight Processional, but all in all, I thought it was lovely. Really, in general, I don't know if we're going to get to this, but Festival of the Holidays in general was like, why would you spend $200 to go to the Magic Kingdom? There's Christmas spirit all around World Showcase Lagoon. I thought was wonderful.
Yeah.
And I loved seeing the different versions of Santa.
Yeah.
The storytellers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get to see any of that, Coach, when you were there?
Yeah, actually, we got to do Living with the Land. My wife didn't realize the overlay happened, and then I started singing the song, and she's like, "Why are you?" Oh, and we went on, and it was great. And even Epcot, walking around, seeing different narrators, telling different stories, that was awesome. And we actually got to meet Santa in Epcot. He was African American, which I thought was pretty awesome. It was cool to see, and it was great. It was to see the reaction of different people from different cultures just experiencing Christmas in their element. I thought was really powerful stuff. And I agree with Desi. I thought it was awesome. The different narrators were people were like mesmerized. They were just stopped and just staring at what was going on, and it was really cool.
Yeah, and you know what, Eric, to your point, Festival of the Holidays at Epcot is kind of you're like a hard ticket event, because there's so much going on now that they have
Right.
this holiday overlay on the land and on Spaceship Earth and all of the food booths and all of the merchandise. This is something you can't really like tackle in just a day, right?
No, I mean, especially if you want to eat and drink all this stuff, we kind of made we made a lap of it without stopping everywhere, right? And I have to tell you, there's all kinds of stuff that I have yet to try that I want to go back and try before Christmas. There was one thing in particular. There was a chocolate peppermint milkshake with whipped vodka in it that had Lee over the moon. It was very delicious. There's a lot of good stuff out there. So, you got to just kind of time it right and get there. It was very crowded. It was, it was not easy to get around there, but I think it's lovely.
Well, it's nice when you use that word, lovely. It's just lovely.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
People think I'm so negative on here. It was lovely. It was lovely.
It was lovely. That was lovely. Ah, chef's kiss. So just a couple other things that I wanted to talk about real quick. We have a candlelight processional at Epcot, but there's the original at Disneyland. That's supposed to be happening, I believe tonight is the processional. So that's a thing. But also at DCA, the Marvel heroes are celebrating Christmas on an all-new Loki. That's weird to me. Like, I feel like that's not a thing that they should be doing.
Fourth wall, people, come on.
I mean, exactly, right? I mean, it's not like these people don't celebrate, but it feels very weird. But again, maybe Desi's going to offer a different opinion.
If you've seen Hawkeye, you know that they do celebrate Christmas, and especially having the Hawkeye and Kate Bishop showing up right now makes sense.
But Desi, Hawkeye's from America. Loki and Thor are from a different planet.
Yeah, and really you don't want to see anything from the Norway version of the holidays because Santa's friend is not appropriate.
Yeah, I just Avengers Assemble. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I mean, I'm a huge fan of just of the superheroes, and I love the Christmas tie-ins, but that just seems a little bit over the top. The kind of thing that like a company like Marvel would have gone. This is what I thought might happen if we got bought by Disney. But again, I think there's a way to probably do it, and Hawkeye hanging out in a Santa hat on there. Yeah, I don't know. maybe it works. I didn't actually get to go and see it. But what I know didn't happen is we didn't get the overlay at the Toy Story Land. They didn't do the decorations at Toy Story Land, which those decorations exist. They're already done. Like, I feel like they should have been there. Like, why, Eric, why didn't they put them out?
Installation takes time. Installation costs money. I mean, what other excuse is there? I don't know. Did they lose them? It's either they didn't feel like spending the money, or they don't have the stuff anymore. I don't know.
They only have budget for one land. It was either going to be Life Day or Holidays in Toy Story Land. They couldn't have both. But
they didn't decorate the two for Life Day, did they?
Well, they put all of their effort into merchandise.
Because you said so. So this is your fault. Okay.
Because good. I said so. So good. It is my fault. I'm sorry.
Okay. We're all.
It was noticeable. It was noticeably bad that there was not decorated.
Okay. And then bad. On our website again, you know, Eric talked about it. Festival of the Holidays. Not only on in Epcot, but also the one at DCA. Reviews of all the food. So go on and check it out. You know, it's the festival stuff's always fun. So that's really a cool thing. Let's talk about the. I wish I could come up with a good name for this kind of a fight. But there was this little battle that happened at the most magical place on earth. This family, there was kicking involved. I mean, this was kind of rough. Coach, were you involved in this fight? Was this while you were there?
No, Rob, because you would have noticed that I would have been standing over that gentleman. No, people are testy. People are upset. Typically what I do at the end of my vacations is that I keep track of all the cast member compliments. If you don't know, you can do it on the app, but the problem is when you do it on the app, it's just the team that gets the credit, not the individual cast member, which is great on paper, but doesn't recognize the individual that actually helped you. So I was in at the front of the park before we left, and there were a lot of very angry, stressed out, loud people complaining. So this does not shock me at all. I think the stress level of the cost of you will have a good vacation, you will enjoy all this money that we spent. There was a lot of people that were really upset. And this doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest with you. A lot of people are just stressed out. They don't know how Genie Plus works. We know Eric's the Genie expert, but they were definitely very, very confused. They didn't know what was going on. They thought they could just ride things. It was bad. It was definitely bad.
That makes me think of, I guess, Vacation, where Chevy Chase's character, the original Vacation, where he goes, no, this is now a quest. It's a quest for fun. And he's just like angry, and he's like, he snapped. Pretty Cool in chat said, theme park throwdown. I'll take it. Unless you got a better one, Eric.
Why about the Land Brawl Room? Remember the old Land Grill Room? The Land Brawl Room.
Land Brawl. Well, that sounds like ballroom. That one I'll take too. But how many fights is this now this year? And what do you think's causing all this, Eric?
First of all, this is not unique to Disney, right? They're having airlines are having this surge in passengers assaulting flight attendants. People are on edge. This pandemic has got people on the edge. They're cooped up in their houses for a long time, and they get out and they're just willing to, the smallest thing sets them off. I tell you, you go on the land, you got to come heavy. I had my crew on there yesterday. There were 5 of us. Everyone knew what their role was going to be, right? I got off, but you got to strike first. I got off, and I said, look, little ones one at a time. Or no, big ones one at a time. Little ones as fast as you can get here. Let's go if anybody has a problem. Jake is 6'6". I had him behind me just in case. I figured that Joe was probably wily enough. You know, Lee, who knows what Lee would do. So you just have to be ready. Keep your head on a swivel out there.
Phenomenal Brandy said, if I saw no lights on the shrimp, I would want to throw hands also.
Yeah.
And then Doug said they just need a man in a bow tie to make it a proper fight. You know what? It's kind of like a hockey game, though, right? You don't really want there to be a fight, but if there's going to be one, you want to watch.
Plus, you just had that red tomato girl at the end of the ride throwing shade at you for 10 seconds on the way by. Just get your nerves boiling a little bit.
You hate her, don't you? You guys have beef that goes way back. Anyway, so that's that fight that happened. And one last thing that I wanted to bring up, which I don't actually have a visual of this, thank God, but there was somebody has been leaving, and Desi, if it's you, stop it. Explicit pictures at different places around the hotels, and apparently there have been 2 of them that were caught so far. One at Wilderness, and then one of Art of Animation. Just photographs that were then specifically from the police blotter. It says taken on color Fuji film. So I assume that means like those, like the ones that that children use. That's like the old school throwback Polaroid type of thing. So I guess they just.
I hope it's not a child.
Well, no, I know. I'm not saying that that is a child, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the pictures look like. I just know they were explicit. Maybe you could talk more on that, Desi.
Well, if it's done on Fujifilm, and as opposed to thinking it could be a child, I was hoping that maybe it was just a really old photo, and given how often cast members might be cleaning up around the All-Stars, maybe it's just been there a while. But I'm glad that they haven't found any more. I hope that that was it, and there's no more of them. It could also be just somebody took a photo of the Morocco chimney. I don't know.
Well, and if it is you, Desi, and you're running out of film, Amazon has this Fujifilm on sale for $31.50 for a 3-pack, so you could really stock up if you needed to. So, I mean, you know, just in case. I don't know what you do, but it's one of those things where you just, you know, I know, Eric, you're of the outside the bubble crew, but it's when you're inside the bubble, you always feel like you're safe there, right? And so when there's fights and explicit pictures getting left around, that kind of that starts to make you feel uneasy, you know, Eric?
Yeah, I don't know what to say about this, but hopefully this is the last we hear of it. Hopefully they nip this in the bud, or whatever you want to call it. I don't have anything to say. I think I have some things I could say, but video on YouTube is forever, so I'll just sit on it for now.
So we'll just say, whoever you are, Desi, just stop it. Just stop it, and let's move on from that. So
I don't have the right equipment to be taking those kind of pictures. I don't have Fujifilm at all.
Oh, Fujifilm, that's the equipment we're talking about. Got it. All right, moving on. Let's move on to the what I'm calling this Lounge 220. This lounge is the way that a lot of people have been able to get into Space 220. Obviously, Space 220 has been a hard reservation to get, unless you're Eric Morton, because I think you've been more than once, right? Yeah,
twice.
Yeah, see, there you go. But you
in the same day.
Bougie like. Anyway, so when you're in like, you can walk up to it and you see a line and you go, oh, well, maybe that's just a line for standby to get into the restaurant. But no, that standby line has been to get into the lounge. And sometimes there's like 10 people in the line, and they'll tell you it's like a 3-hour wait to get into the lounge. But now they're going to take reservations for the lounge. And again, I don't know, Desi, have you been in here? Have you waited for the lounge? And do you think this is a good idea?
No, the one time I had a chance to go, it was Axel asked if I could get there within an hour, and I live in Tampa, so that wasn't going to be feasible. So no, I haven't gotten to go, and I'm actually surprised that they haven't done this before, because a lot of restaurants put on the list, and you have to do that through the app. So I'm surprised that they didn't do that, at least. Even if they weren't going to take reservations, they should have had the opportunity to join the walk-up list through the app, the way that you can. Like, I've gotten that with Beer Garden multiple times, at Ale and Compass at the Yacht Club. I just got that a couple weeks ago, just via the walk-up list on the app. So I'm surprised they had a physical queue of 3 hours of people waiting for this.
Yeah. Coach, did you get into Space 220?
We weren't there long enough. We decided we were going to kind of skip it. But we definitely something we wanted to do. But it was one of those things where we had to pass based on time constraints. But there were lines we saw when we walked by. It was definitely, there were people just waiting.
But I think
what are they waiting for?
I was going to say, I think that's like, it's misleading if you don't know what's going on there, right? Because, I mean,
Right.
That line looks like it goes right up to Space 220. I don't know, I mean, if you're a cast member there, how many times you had to say the phrase, no, this is just for the lounge, and it's a 3-hour wait. Eric, did you ever wait in line for the
Yeah,
lounge?
same thing. So yesterday there was like a line of maybe 7 or 8 people out further out towards where you would come from, creation shop area, and then there's a bunch of empty space, and then it goes up and there's another line, and the people that at the far away line have no one in between them and the other line, and they're like, oh, this is the line to get into the line. And I'm like, you know what, I'm not even going to ask if that's for the lounge, I'm just going to leave. So I think just a sign that says like line for the lounge would be pretty helpful.
Signs, those cost money. Although this is what you had to deal with on day one, right? This was like opening day.
I may have taken that picture. I probably did.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, everything I've heard about it is amazing, but it's neat. It was neat, I guess, that if you wanted to stand in line there to get into the lounge, at least you'd be able to go and experience the elevator or whatever it's called. There's a name for it. I know you know it.
Space
Eric.
elevator.
The space elevator. So it's
Wonkavator.
I don't even know if you can get Space Getty there in the lounge, or Space Fries. I don't know if you can get those in the lounge.
I don't know if you can either. The lounge is basically
get right back on the space elevator.
It's just the bar, right, inside the lounge.
Yeah, they have a menu, and I know they had a few items on the menu that are not on the main menu. There were like some lobster rolls and maybe some sliders or something. So we didn't try those. I reviewed lunch and dinner on day one. And of course I had to get the Space Getty. How could you not? But I don't know about lobster rolls. I don't know about sliders.
Yeah. So this area right here, this entire area, I guess at the top is the lounge, or is some of that seating?
Yep. Actually, all that seating is the lounge too.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a lot of space then. Ha! Space. I get it.
They call it space.
So the final thing I wanted to actually, two quick things. One is tickets are hard to get, and I saw this happen. So for Disneyland, they were sold out of tickets, or mostly sold out of tickets for the remainder of 2021, and their top tier Magic Key, the Big Mama expensive one, was sold out as well, which is kind of insane to think that we live in a land or world that you could actually run out of space for APs, but apparently that's a thing. And I thought, oh, poor them. And then, here, like, Walt Disney World suspends tickets for Thanksgiving, and then, oh, hey, guess what? They stopped selling most annual passes ahead of the busy holiday season, not just like the top tier, but most of them. This is a problem. I'm gonna start with you, Coach. You don't have an annual pass? You just bought tickets when you went down?
No, we have annual passes.
Oh,
so
that seems like a problem.
Yeah, well, we were fortunate. We kind of anticipated potentially an issue, so we decided we were going to pull the trigger. And we had a friend who had DVC points that she gifted us. So my wife sort of looked at me and said, "Well, guess where we're going for Thanksgiving?" So it made sense for us because we could get deluxe hotels for free, and we already had tickets. So even though gas is like $75 a gallon, we decided to make the trek and get down there. So, but we were surprised because we thought because of this, the capacity was going to be kind of insane. We were in MK, and basically through Thanksgiving, Friday after Thanksgiving was fine. Saturday was an absolute zoo. I thought they were giving things away for free. People were everywhere.
It'd be ridiculous.
That's what it was. I walked in the Emporium. I'm like, are they giving all this stuff away for free? People were like fighting to get in line to buy things. It was very weird.
There was a fight. You didn't see the schedule?
Yeah, it was just there were grandmothers throwing elbows and boxing people out for like keychains. It was just chaos. I was like, okay, I'm gonna not buy anything in here. But they had mobile checkout, so there's that.
That's why Eric travels with a crew. He's figured it out.
I mean, he's a Marine and he's got to travel with a crew. What does that mean for me? I'm in bad shape. I got to travel with Eric. That's what it is.
Well, again, Eric, you're our true local. The crowds. I mean, is this something that they had to do because of the crowds?
I guess so, because look at how greedy the leadership of Disney is, and they said your money's not good here.
That doesn't sound.
There's
right.
a problem, right? There's a problem, and so I did not go to the parks during Thanksgiving. I intentionally avoid the parks during Thanksgiving, even though I do have the Platinum Pass or whatever it's going to be called. I think in Credit Pass, I have that. No, I'm good. I went yesterday is the first time I went in over couple weeks. But the real thing is Disney Springs. That's a zoo. You go to Disney Springs after the sun goes down right now in December, like, man, bad stuff's going to happen. I don't know what, but it's rough.
Yeah, Desi, you need to get out there and get me a Christmas present still, right?
I've already got your Christmas present, Rob. I find it interesting that Disneyland owns their most expensive ticket available, and Disney World only has their annual pass available. So I don't know what the reasoning is for Disneyland doing the most expensive only and Disney World doing the cheapest only.
Okay. Well, and finally, for our news segment, I wanted to talk quickly about this. So Disney Vacation Club members are able to register, well, I'm reading the headline at this point, for special fireworks viewing area during the very merriest after hours at Magic Kingdom. Here's a problem that I have with this, people. There are too many, like, caveats on this, right? So you have to be a Disney Vacation Club member with a hard ticket to the expensive after hours event, and then you can get special viewing area. That's also, it's supposed to be a lower capacity event, right? So you shouldn't be fighting for a place to stand for this event. I can see you shaking your head, Eric. Do you agree? I mean, it seems like not really a perk.
You mentioned Quest earlier, and this just reminds me of video games from the 80s, like playing Legend of Zelda. You got to go get this key to get that key to unlock the special fireworks viewing area. Like, it seems absurd, especially if you're going to a limited capacity event. I get it that they're trying to present themselves as releasing a lot of perks for DVC members, but after paying what you pay to be a DVC member and your dues and fees, and then paying $200 to go to a Christmas party, like a couple square feet of pavement is not my idea of a great reward.
Well, I mean, if you are a DVC member for the hard ticket events, I think they give you 82 cents off. So, I mean, that's basically a bargain. I don't know. I look at this and I think it's very focused, right? Because it's got to be someone who's going to be there, who is a Disney Vacation Club member, who can get in, because sometimes it's so hard to use your points when you're going. And then you have to have a hard ticket to this specific event on that. It just, I don't know. It seems weird. It seems like not enough. I feel like that in general is the way I feel, and maybe that's just because I am DVC, that there's just not enough perks. I feel like there should be more, especially if you bought directly from Disney. I feel like there should be more points. Ben and I used to have that argument because he bought his aftermarket, and so we kind of discussed what should they be giving to who. But I mean, on the one hand, it's a nice thing. It hurts no one that they've given this option. They're probably not doing dessert parties during this time, so it probably doesn't cut into their revenue at all. They probably had the space there. They probably thought, okay, who could benefit from this? And they just went, oh, we'll give it to DVC. It just seems like, I go back to there was a company that I worked for that they were doing this employee bonus program that, like, if you were the employee of the month, you got a parking space that wasn't the closest. You got some money put into your paycheck, but they took taxes out, and then you got a free T-shirt, but that T-shirt only came in one size. And I'm like, so it's like almost a perk, but not really. It's almost like saying we sort of care, but not really. Anyway.
It's almost like giving annual pass holders special seating for kite tails. Is it really? Is it just something that they can say, oh, look, we're doing something?
I mean, what do you? We can talk in post show about your beef with kite tails, but we're gonna take a quick break right now. We're gonna come back with a quick Universal update from our good friend Annie, and then we're gonna go into talking about our big topic of the night. So don't go anywhere.
WDW News Tonight is our weekly comedy show combining the news of the week, comedy segments, thoughtful discussions, insane characters, parody commercials, games, and more. Watch live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. and become a Wigs member to get access to a bonus post show. Watch WDW News Tonight episodes anytime and live on YouTube, or get the audio-only version on iTunes and other podcast services.
Welcome to Unplanned Downtime, a new home for creative, innovative, and outlandish programming made for Disney fans, including Cosmic Read Live, discussions and Imagineering attractions, Deep in the Plus, reviewing the catalog on Disney Plus, Ink and Paint, celebrating female voices in the Disney fandom, Boxed In, opening mystery packages and viewer mail, Picky Eaters, trying to eat our way across Disney restaurants, WDW TV RPG, a tabletop adventure set in Tokyo Disney Sea, and more of your favorites. Subscribe now at unplanneddowntime.com. Remember, it's not an accident, it's unplanned downtime.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. ParksCenter's here every Sunday night at 8 p.m., unless we've got a marathon going on, which we did. So thank you guys for being here. Please give us a thumbs up if you can. Subscribe to the channel if you can. We are also, not only do we cover Disney parks, but every now and then we give you a glimpse into the wonderful world of Universal, because I feel like, Annie, most of us that are huge fans of Disney are adjacent Universal fans, right?
Yeah, I think so, and I think even more recently, we know people are going to Universal, and Christmas gift, annual pass, Universal, it's a good idea.
Which is cheaper and has more perks. Interesting. That's a good thought.
I love that valet parking and moving walkways, no trams.
Yeah, that is something. When we were talking about trams, I was thinking that there was that story that came out this week that Universal kind of came at Disney, or like, trams, where we're going, we don't need trams. So good. I mean, like, again, I'm a huge diehard bleed Disney fan, but just sometimes you got to just shake your head. There's a lot of cool stuff going on for the holidays, and man, they are starting to really. It feels like there's been a culture shift of who's like trying harder for the holidays almost, because there's this huge parade at Universal for Christmas that is beyond amazing. How many times have you seen that parade, and how would you rank it?
I think I've seen it maybe 4 or 5 times now, and it's amazing. It's really long. There's a lot of characters. The balloons, obviously, the Macy's balloons are great. And, pretty much anywhere you are, you get a good view of the parade. So, a lot of the balloons are up high. So even if you're a little farther back in the crowd. And I know you saw it, so I want to know what you think, too.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I'm saying is, like, so I went to the Merriest Nights at Disney and saw their parade. And so one of the things that I think a lot of people took away from this is a hard ticket event that's going to be this, like, the first time parades have really returned to Disney. And, when you get to the toy soldiers, they didn't have a lot of toy soldiers because, I guess hard to get people in or cost cutting, I don't know. But it was almost like sparse. And then I looked at how many people it took just to carry one balloon down the road there, and then someone leading them. I mean, it was like a Macy's Day parade. And I mean, some of the floats too, like the donkey float, where like the animatronic on top of Donkey is just, Donkey himself is just amazing on top of that float. I was trying to think of some others that were really good, but you see it coming down the street, you see it around the corner, and all these balloons coming in, and it's just, it's a different type of parade than what we're used to seeing at Disney. Disney, they have the characters that we love, and we see that, but at Universal, these balloons are just, again, it feels like you're in New York.
Yeah, and Santa lights the tree too. If you're near the tree, when the Santa float goes by, he actually lights it up. So that's a good spot to go. That's, I've seen it so many times, so I've gone and, checked out different spots. So I think that's my recommendation. If you can get a spot by the tribute store near the tree, that's a good place to watch.
Well, and I assume he uses Christmas magic, that's nice of him to spare a little for this, so that's good. Some of the decorations, though, like Hogwarts, like how do you feel like when you go into like Hogsmeade and seeing the decorations? Is it enough? Is it too much? Is it not enough? Because Hogwarts already has, Hogsmeade has that vibe of Christmas anyway with the snow on the roof. But how do you feel about the way they did that one?
I think they try to keep it kind of minimal. It fits with the Wizarding World theme. It's there, nothing's really too elaborate. I don't get a very Christmassy vibe being in either of the Wizard areas, so Diagon Alley is a little more decorated. Like you said, Hogsmeade's already got the icicles and the snow and the snowmen, but I don't get the Christmas vibe from the Wizarding World like the rest of the park. Seuss Landing's my number one, but the New York section over at Universal Studios Florida is great. If you really take some time to look at the decorations, there are so many hidden details. There's a wreath on the Ghostbusters firehouse that has the green slime on it, on the marshmallows, and there's a Kong decoration hanging, looking at Revenge of the Mummy, which is where the original King Kong was. So I'm more into those decorations. Wizarding World just kind of doesn't impress me, but if you're into that simple kind of keeping with the vibe of Wizarding World, it's okay.
Yeah, I was trying to look through here because Tom took this picture of the tree here that's in the why am I blanking on the name of this?
The Universal Legacy Store.
The Legacy Store, yes. So, and it has the basically all the original attractions are represented here with E.T. and their little bikes at the top, and just the kind of care and love that they gave to that is the kind of thing that I think you're talking about. They realize the nostalgia that people have, even though those attractions don't exist anymore. The only one that's literally still there is E.T. But they have these banners for Kongfrontation and for E.T. and all that on it. It's pretty amazing that the way that's all laid out. Let me ask you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you mentioned how Storyland they didn't put the decorations up, and how those are decorations they have. And we've noticed a lot of new trees this year, a lot of new things decoration-wise at Universal. So that Legacy Store tree is fantastic, but that's new this year. They've never had that. So somebody took the time to create those decorations, come up with that concept, and I'm impressed. There's some Halloween Christmas trees that, it's really nice over at Universal for the holidays.
Well, and Seuss Landing in general, that's kind of comparable to me is Toy Story Land and Seuss Landing because of how much space they take up, how colorful they are, that kind of thing. And Seuss Landing is really kind of done up right. Let me switch and ask you about food, though, because I'm looking at this. I know that you were the one that ate this, right?
I did.
Was it any good? Because it looks freaking amazing.
It was fantastic. It's their new seasonal crepe. It's the cinnamon cookie butter, and it's got a shortbread mascarpone filling and pieces of shortbread cookie inside, the giant shortbread cookie on top. Got cinnamon whipped cream. It is fantastic. Central Park crepes. Every new crepe, I say this is the best one they've ever come up with, and I hope I continue to say that every seasonal crepe. But this one's great.
I'm just getting, literally my mouth's watering. I'm getting hungry looking at that thing. I was like, I hope you had it, and I hope it was amazing because it looks really good. A lot of times they'll do things for for the beauty of the photo that you're going to take for Instagram, and they don't necessarily taste all that great. So that's good to hear. Is this one? This cake? Did you eat this?
That is what you were just getting. You were just touching on that, where it's beautiful but lacks in a lot of other departments. The cake on that one was really dry. The frosting was great. The decorations were cute. The concept was nice, but it just kind of failed. And that's $18 there. So that little globe cake is $18. So the cake not to be good was disappointing. So stick with Central Park Crepes.
But you have to get that. That's like in the gift shop, right? Like that cake?
Yeah, that one's in the holiday tribute store. They have tons of different like themed treats. There's like a Santa boot. There's so many different things. Cocoa bombs. But I really wanted to try that cake just because it is so good looking. Like you said, sometimes these things are more visually appealing, and the taste kind of fails.
Well, and to that point, and I was looking for it on Universal Parks News Today's website, but there was like a jar of like dessert.
They do. They've got two in the tribute store that are like the Earl of Squirrel cake jars.
I think this is it, right?
Oh no, those are from Universal Studios Hollywood.
Oh, my bad.
So in case people didn't know, we cover Hollywood too. So
yeah.
we didn't get those, but they look so good.
They do.
We've got Earl of Squirrel jars, but they're not as colorful as those.
Well, I mean, this is like cake in a jar, and it reminds me of something that they did at the Cheshire Cafe a while back. There was like a cake cup where it's like a little bit of cake and icing, and like to have these in little jars, I would probably buy like all of them. They look delicious.
Well, especially with the lid, because you can take your leftovers. That's the nice thing.
I don't know if you know me. I don't really have leftovers, especially when it's like something that's sweet. It's gone. It's absolutely gone. But anyway, so holidays like at Universal, I feel like have gone to the next level. I mean, just over time, and I think they were probably trying to kick into this in like 2019, and then of course pandemic, and then they probably didn't. They're probably kind of like hitting their stride again, wouldn't you say?
Well, we saw last year they tried to, do a lot for the holidays, even being limited. And I feel like everything this year has just gone up a notch. They did the last year. It was a separate ticketed event, and we covered that. And it was the only way to see the magic of Christmas at Hogwarts Castle last year. You got cookies and hot cocoa with the Grinch. You got to see the Macy's balloons. There was a couple other things that did. And this year, the tour is not that much more expensive, but it includes Grinchmas. You get to see the show in like a reserve section. There's a question and answer with the Who's. There's cookies and hot cocoa with the Grinch. Get an after-hours viewing of Hogwarts, the Magic of Christmas at Hogwarts Castle. They have the stores open so you can get some butterbeer, and it's after the park is closed, so Hogsmeade is completely empty. So it's just the people on the tour. It's a great time. You can do magic. You can get pictures, and then everyone just kind of spread out and kind of sat around and watched the show on the castle. So and the price is fantastic. So when I think about these after hours events, merriest one going on somewhere else in the price, and I know you get a lot more. The park is open, you get to do rides, but for this holiday tour with the Grinch and the Macy's parade viewing and everything, you get to meet Santa. They give you a printed out photo of you with Santa. They give you an ornament. The cookies and hot cocoa are complimentary. It's really a great deal. So like you said, it's each season and year we're now seeing Universal just kind of step it up a little more, which it's really exciting, especially for me to be reporting on it, because it's just like, oh man, I keep getting more and more and more. It's great.
Well, we appreciate you covering it, because every time anybody has a question about Universal, they're like, let's get with Annie. She'll have the answer. But like as much as they are doing Christmas well, they're known for Halloween, and there's this Halloween shop that I knew nothing about until you told me about it. This Halloween shop, and it's in Lost Continent, and they've got it decorated for Christmas.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It opened this year. It's in the Lost Continent, and it used to be like a shop of wonders, and it had local artists. And this year they kind of transformed it into the All Hallows Eve Boutique. And just a couple weeks ago, it got completely decorated for Christmas. As you can see, there's like a creepy Christmas fireplace photo of the trees. There's a creepy Christmas tree. There's all the lights. There's pumpkins. So they've now changed it to the All Hallows Holiday Boutique, and they're going to kind of keep it with that creepy theme all year round, and hopefully it'll can stay open after the holiday season. I think that's kind of the goal, similar to the Tribute Store, which gets a retheme every season. But, you know, a lot of the theme parks have year-round Christmas stores. I mean, there's a few of them at Disney. There's 2 of them at Universal. And so to have an all-year Halloween store is a new concept, but definitely, like you said, Universal is known for a huge Halloween event. The fans want Halloween. We are waiting. I mean, I'm already counting down the days and wondering when we're going to get some words about next Halloween. So, but I'm impressed with this All Hallows Holiday Boutique.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, right? Like, I mean, I know they did the Legacy store, and that's the Halloween thing, but it seems like a no-brainer to have a Halloween store there all year long. I've already kind of jumped into this because I'm pretty excited. The Velocicoaster, I got to know, how many times have you done the Velocicoaster?
I think I stopped counting when I got into the 20s. At one point, I was going to be one of those people that was like keeping track every time, and then it's just so much now that I've lost count. I was trying to like take pictures, like selfies of me like holding up different like numbers, like, okay, this many times, you know, and I've lost count. But I could ride it all day.
Well, and I know it's not new. I mean, it opened up, what, June? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so it's fairly new. Yeah, it's fairly new, but there's a lot of stuff for some reason going on about it right now, and I think it's because it's their big thing. It's their newest thing, and one of them, and I think that you took these pictures as well, is they've got this little model, this wooden model that you can put together with the car. This looks super intricate. Have you? Oh, wait a minute. You've got it. You've got it right there. You haven't put it together yet?
I'm going to do it tonight after we're done talking. That's my my Sunday night. It's a very, you know, it's a good plan, but I'm excited, and it's going to be fun.
Well, I can't wait to see pictures of it. And have you done this facilities tour?
Yes, that's a newer tour. Some of the attractions around Universal Orlando, they do kind of like a unofficial, kind of like a I don't want to say behind the scenes, but a team member will be through the queue. They'll show out you Easter eggs. They'll give you, you know, kind of a chance to learn some fun facts. And now they are offering it with the Velocicoaster. It's called the Facilities Tour, and you just ask a team member if there's anyone available. With the holidays coming up, that may be difficult because it just depends on if they have someone to take you through the tour, and they'll take you down by the Mosasaurus roll. They'll give you like coaster stats. So if you're like a coaster fan, it's cool. If you don't want to ride, I took my mom and we did a quick one when she was in town because she's never going to ride, but I wanted her to see the animatronic raptors in the queue. So we got to go through that. And they tell you, you know, things about the coaster, things about the dinosaurs. So if you have a little kid that maybe is into the dinosaurs and can't ride, Facilities Tour is great. It's free, and it took about 15-20 minutes. You know, it's a great little perk that a lot of people don't know about.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you, though. This seems like it would be an extra cost, like the behind the scenes tour that they do at Epcot. But that was just, they'll just do it if they're available, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And there's several attractions that do it, so you know we're gonna try to cover all of those so that we can kind of spread some, you know, word about it, because a lot of people said I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I didn't know that was a thing. I'll say it again, just so you have one more to put in the pot. I didn't know it was a thing. Also, there's a new Making of Jurassic World Velocicoaster now streaming on Peacock. That's kind of crazy to me that there's a whole special about this, and maybe I'm off base on it, but it is an amazing coaster. So I mean, that's something, I guess. Have you watched that yet?
I have not, but that's on my list because I'm dying, you know, to see it. As someone that was there basically every single day from June of last year, you know, through it opening. I watched it go from little pieces of track sticking up to, you know, the shaping of the rocks, and we saw the raptors being delivered. So for me, I'm really excited to see it because I feel like I was, on the opposite side of the construction walls, but I feel like I was there the whole time,
Yeah, I will go watch that now. I mean, I think that's an amazing coaster. We'll ask Eric and Posho what he thinks of it because I think he might have different thoughts. But anyway, the last thing I want to talk about, because when we get a rumor that there might be more Harry Potter, as much as that's become a thing, for Universal, I need to jump into this. So permits have been filed for Epic Universe, like the first ones I think that we've seen. I looked through this and I'm not really sure that it indicates as clearly to me what this might be. But are there rumors as to what they may be talking about with this? Obviously, we knew there was going to be something Harry Potter with it, but we don't know if it's Fantastic Beasts or some addition to Harry Potter, right?
I haven't heard anything, solid enough, but I think the kind of the rumor going around is Fantastic Beasts. Again, I looked at that and I'm not an expert on, reading those permits, so I'm like, I'm not really sure what this is saying, but a lot of people, there's been a huge reaction to the, idea that there will be more Wizarding World stuff to come. There are a few people that are like, no more, there's enough. But for the most part, there's just been so many people that have been reacting and saying like they're excited if that comes about.
I can't imagine if we're talking about every little rumor that comes out around Epic Universe in 2021. This is supposed to be 4 years away now. We're going to have you back a lot to talk about the things that are coming. I mean, I've heard a lot of rumors about How to Train Your Dragon Land and a Universal Classic Monsters area and some sort of again, Fantastic Beasts or something along those lines. And of course, a Super Nintendo World. So when all that comes, man, I don't even know how you're going to be able to cover all that stuff for us, Annie, but it should be pretty exciting. You're going to have to hire a whole bunch more people to be around.
That's what Tom said. Tom said, we've never got an entire park opening, so how do you do that? So we'll have a couple years to plan it out.
We'll find out the hard way, I guess. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming back on and talking to us about Universal and for being out there to cover it. Don't forget to check out UniversalParksNewsToday.com and then also the YouTube channel for the latest in Universal. Annie, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We got a quick commercial break. We'll be back with the panel to talk about our big topic of the night, which is Magic Mobile and what it means for your next Disney experience coming up next. Hang on.
Welcome to Deep in the Plus. Each week, join host Rob Whiteside and a panel of Disney superfans as they take a different movie or TV show from the Disney Plus catalog, tell you its history, details, give their review, and let you know if it's worth your time. Current shows, classic movies, and everything in between. Watch Deep in the Plus live Tuesday nights at 9 Eastern for new episodes. Or catch Deep in the Plus anytime on YouTube at unplanneddowntime.com.
Chomp at your neighbors.
Hold for Mr. Corliss. Hey, Tom.
Killed Nick Wilde and I'm wearing him on my head for warmth.
Oh! Oh, no!
Mickey is giant. Oh, it's time for your favorite. Cups.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. This is our pressing issues moment where we're going to be talking about mobile. First I want to go back to Boxed In and say, what have you got going on this week for Boxed In on the Unplanned Downtime channel?
Well, we just put our gingerbread house together. If you do not watch Boxed In this past Friday, I recommend going back because it's probably the messiest, most chaotic mess we've ever had. It was a total disaster. And hey, I'm a person that likes to watch disastrous stuff. Actually, we're taking this coming Friday off. So
Gotcha.
We will not have a show this coming Friday. We'll be back on the 17th. There is a gingerbread house competition in my neighborhood. Maybe we'll live stream it. I don't know.
And then on Deep in the Plus, we just did Home Alone, which apparently is the #1 movie, according to IMDb, the #1 Christmas movie. So Desi and I reviewed that, and then also for the marathon show, for Deep in the Plus, we reviewed Brink. So
Yes.
if you guys missed that, check it out, unplanneddowntime.com. I always go to wdwnt.tv because it gets you there like that. Anyway, check us out, and then this Tuesday night we've got another one, another Deep in the Plus, Tyler Mann, joining me to talk about Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas. It's going to be fun. Right now, I wanted to talk about this topic because, Eric, you and I have had this conversation before about the reliance of your mobile device. So my phone, when I go to the park, dies all the time because they're asking me to do everything that I do with the mobile phone. Now, kids, back in the day, before mobile phones were a thing, you actually had to pull out like 18 cards and have your credit card, your room key, everybody's Fast Pass. Yes, Fast Pass was a thing. Look it up. Paper Fast Passes. You had all this stuff you had to keep track of, and it was kind of nuts. And then Disney came out with this, the program that is, it was the My Magic Plus. For Disney World. It was piloted at Disney World. The whole idea was there are too many pain points, is what they said at the time, for guests and trying to have like a seamless experience, because you can go to like Club Med, is that still a thing? And it's like all inclusive. And here, people get confused about which parks do I go to, what do I do, how do I get an advanced dining reservation, all that. And they were like, let's put it all into one place. And they came up with the My Magic Plus, which was led by the Magic Band. Now, so the Magic Band wasn't My Magic Plus. It was just part of it. I had actually dealt with like the Magic Band's type of thing at Great Wolf Lodge of all places before it ever came to Disney. The whole RFID tap to buy things. You could tap, your kids could tap to buy things on the vending machine. Tell me that wasn't a nightmare. So there were all kinds of things that it was like, you put on your band, because Great Wolf Lodge, if you guys don't know, is an indoor water park. So you're always going to be like, you can't carry cash and things on you. It was a great thing. So when Disney came up with it, it made it one more seamless thing that you could do. You put on your Magic Band, you go through, and you can tap everywhere, and all these great things happen. And then they slowly moved more and more things to Magic Band. Now it feels like they're moving a lot of those things to your mobile phone. You can't really make it through a park day if you're the leader of the group. And you've got all these plans that you're making throughout the day, and then you've got to look at wait times, and now you've got to look at the genie. There's so many different things that are going to be a problem. So the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the kind of the mobile and the challenges therein is the battery life and then the chargers. So anybody, let me start with you, Desi. Do you ever have problems with your phone, like the last minute you're trying to figure something out that you're going to do in the park and your phone dies?
So during the marathon, I was live streaming from Animal Kingdom and had a completely charged phone, and it died on me. So I've had that kind of struggle with the Magic Mobile specifically, and Genie Plus, or just Genie and all of that. I try to avoid using it as much as possible, and I am still clinging tight to Magic Bands to avoid having to use my phone as much as possible. But anytime I do use the phone, like if I want to download my photos so I can send pictures to my parents, or If I'm trying to make dining reservations, trying to get on the wait list, the walk-up wait list to a restaurant, it does drain my battery very quickly. And so I try to avoid using it at all costs if I can.
Well, and yeah, there's also like an ease of use thing when it comes to that, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Well, that's why I put my Magic Band on my watch so that I can do it all with just my wrist.
Yes. Eric, thoughts on and again, there's a lot that I know that you have opinions on, but let's just talk about the battery life and the charges. Do you ever run into those challenges?
I carry a fuel rod with me now. I just in case. It used to be a lot worse. Go back a decade or more, and your battery, if you went to Epcot, even if you didn't use it, your phone battery was dead by like 2 p.m. because it was searching for signal. So 2013, they put in distributed antenna systems to improve cell phone signal. They put in Wi-Fi to help offload some of that data, and it got better. And my phone's battery started lasting longer. If I am just kicking around the park, my phone is newer. I don't have big battery problems. If I'm trying to stream, if I'm trying to be more of a data consumer, then yes. And obviously, if I'm just glued to the Genie all day, it's fuel rod time. I do think that is a concern for Disney because their app is not, I don't think it's a very efficient app. I don't think it's a well-built app. So I only have to assume that it is consuming resources that it doesn't need to be consuming at all times. I used my watch to get in yesterday at Epcot. It did not work. My watch works sometimes, other times it doesn't work. I just carry my annual pass around. That is I don't like Magic Bands. I don't wear Magic Bands very often. I just carry my annual pass.
Well, boo. Coach?
So this is my regular size phone. See how thin that is? This is the case that it comes with. This case right here is 10,000 milliamps. Fortunately for me, I am a college coach, so I'm constantly on my phone. But when you put those two things together, it's very, very thick. And it can charge this phone 3 times. And basically, I just have a built-in charger. So most people use a power brick, but it burns calories, if you will. We were there and we had a short time. So we got Disney Plus, we did Lightning Lane, and it was a constant battle looking at the phone, update, switch, move around. I'm certainly not Eric One Take Morton with that ability to be able to move things around, but it was a battle. I was constantly looking at it, constantly using my time, taking my attention away. And it's a battery drainer, no question about it.
Well, and I think that you cheating is what you're doing. You're cheating with that thing. Most phones don't get better with battery. You should know that. Like, that's usually the thing that makes you finally go, hey, I'm going to get rid of my phone because the battery is finally, it won't hold a charge or it won't stay charged for as long. And so you dump it. And Eric, you made a good point about you have a fairly new phone, but also the fuel rod. And we went down this road with fuel rods where they introduced fuel rods. It's not a Disney thing, which it should have been. Disney should have done their own charger as a helpful thing. And also an opportunity to make money. But they bring in, fuel rod, they set them up in the parks, and then they, they were there, and you buy one and you could swap it for life. And then fuel rod was like, hey, we should start charging people to swap. And then there was that whole the whole lawsuit that happened, and they were like, okay, you can't do that, but let's say anybody who has it before a certain date, and we're going to have you enter this legacy program. And then I don't know how that was supposed to work, but I don't think that it ever really did. And so then they were like swappable again. Rumor is that at some point fuel rod will make a different device and then service that device, and that device will be a paid swap. Now,
I think it's like $3 in Universal Hollywood or something like that. It costs money.
Right, but and the thing about it is it doesn't make your fuel rod useless. You can go back to the room and charge it, but I'll, like, you know, usually when I'm in a Disney hotel room, I have chargers everywhere. I have like something to charge a stabilizer and something to charge my phone and my laptop and my camera, and it's kind of a nightmare with that. So I feel like the fuel rod is a necessity for somebody who is going in for a rope drop to close sort of a situation. Especially now with checking, you know, like you said, Coach, Genie Plus and things like that. Let's go right into app stability, though. I mean, you've kind of touched on that a little bit, Eric. The stability of this app is famously bad because of all the things that are in it, probably.
Yeah, it's not intuitive. The UI is not the most intuitive thing I've ever seen in my life. And I think most people have experienced this where you're in the middle of like, okay, a Genie day or something like, okay, let's go. And all of a sudden it's saying, hey, we emailed you a code. You need to put this in to keep using the app. You're like, really, in the middle of the day? That's, to me, that's a problem, especially when you're making this. The app used to be something that was kind of like a nice little thing to have if you wanted it, like a convenience. Now that they're on the road towards making it like a necessity, then it's a little tough to deal with these little nagging issues. There's a million little issues with the app.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And then it's like, you know, you said the word intuitive. I mean, when you go through them, at one point Disneyland's app was completely different than Disney World's app, and now they sort of look alike, which I think should have been the case all along. But
there's like a home button, there's a plus sign, and there's like the hamburger like 3- stack, and I never know which one to go if I want to make a dining reservation. I just have to hunt around and see what pops up.
Yeah, it used to be when you would pull this up that it would all be right here, and then like now there's so much in here. Some of it's ads, some of it's, you know, there's something in here for Disney Plus. I don't need that in my Disney World app. I don't. I mean, I love Disney Plus. I host a show about Disney Plus, but I don't need that in my Disney World app. You know, and it's the same thing that I can't, like, can you tell by looking at that this is Disneyland, Disney World? No. I mean, they look almost exactly the same now, which again is a good thing. I think, but they also have the same, you know, the same ads and et cetera, et cetera. Obviously when they came up with virtual queue, that was a thing that had to be in the app. So you've got virtual queue in there. If you want to keep your kids busy and do, you know, the play stuff on here, then, you know, that's another thing. And maybe they take your phone to do it, and then now your battery's running low.
Now your phone's got boogers on it and the battery's dead.
Well, that's not exactly how kids work, Eric, but it's not too far off. So I just and then now we're in a situation where you're required to mobile order. And so there's, again, another place where you've got to do it. So, like, if I'm on, you know, the app and I ran into this problem, is, like, you've almost got to stare at the mobile order page, because you can't move over to, like, text somebody or do something else, and then you got to come back and see, is my mobile order ready yet? So, I mean, there's really just a huge reliance on this app, and,
yeah.
and again, so many different things all in one app. I'm glad that it's not 82 different apps, but I feel like Play should be a separate app from the My Disney Experience.
Right. We could probably talk about mobile order. Do we have mobile order as one of our bullet points to discuss? Because I feel like there's an area where there's a big need for improvement there.
Okay, well, let's talk about it.
As a guest convenience, mobile order was great. As a guest requirement, is terrible. And just to give you an example, well, actually, there are places. The patisserie in France doesn't have mobile order at all. Some of the places you can only mobile order, and some places you can stand in line or mobile order. I happened to be yesterday standing in line at the bar, big shock, at the Regal Eagle outside there, and we're like, this is a really long line. We should just mobile order a beer from inside the smokehouse. I look, there's nobody in there. Nobody's going in that door. Nobody's going out. But you pull up mobile order, and it doesn't have any return times available until like 45 minutes later, even though all I want to do is push this button. I've paid for the beer. You go, you hand me beer. I'm out of there. And there's no one in there. So I don't know. I don't think that they have their data together to a point where this mobile order is more efficient than not having it.
Well, so mobile, I agree with you on that, because I felt like I was kind of like that was my secret. That was my secret weapon. If there was something
Right.
where I wanted to do a Dole Whip and I would just pull it up, it's like, hey, watch this. See that huge line over there? I'm going to skip that whole line. I'm going to go in here and do a mobile order. Now, mobile order is the line. And it's
Right.
almost like, hey, we were early adopters of this, guys, and now we're kind of like, I don't want to say being punished, but I mean, we don't have that option anymore, and they've kind of forced it on us all along here, and it feels kind of rough. Coach, I want to ask you: do you think for mobile order, now that we're on this topic, that they were hoping to move to this all along and use COVID as an excuse, or do you think that this is just they did it for COVID and they'll go back to normal?
I think a lot of the things that they have in place are things that are used not as intended. The virtual queue is for the land, not for rides. It got adapted because they spent so much money on it. I think mobile order is sort of, we kind of joke, my wife and I joke, we're like, wow, there's all these people hoarding around each other during COVID waiting for their order to get approved so they can walk in. It doesn't seem very efficient. There's no real rhyme or reason as to why. Cosmic Rays, you can wait in line, but also mobile order. Some days they make you a mobile order. It's really bizarre to me in terms of it's not convenient. And like you said, you have to stare at your app. And what we find is walking around the park, there were a bunch of people bumping into each other because they're all looking down at their phones, wondering what was going on, and drilling people with strollers, and it was just chaos. To my wife's point, it's like it's supposed to be this magical land of wonder and this immersive experience. And meanwhile, everyone's just staring at their phone the entire time, kind of like going back to Walt's theory about not having newspapers around. Now we sort of brought the real world back into Disney World, and I think it's a mistake. Again, I think it comes down to cost. They had an opportunity with the Magic Bands. Hopefully they keep pushing forward with the new ones. But again, I don't think it's more convenient by any stretch. To me, it takes longer from my experience.
Right.
Especially with a small
If
family.
everybody's using mobile order, there is no added benefit to the guest for using it. The only benefit goes to to Disney, right? It helps them potentially streamline their operation while maybe gathering some of your personal data. I don't know. I feel like it's not really like it, but like the guy in Incredibles, like when everybody's special, if everyone's special, no one's special. Like if everybody's using mobile order, there's no advantage to using mobile order. The only
This
advantage
is literally what I was going for, exactly why you were saying that. When everyone's super, no
Look at
one
that.
will be. Yeah. Syndrome the whole way. That's exactly true because, it's super frustrating that all these things are now that used to be like an option are now dependent. Same thing with ADR, advanced dining reservations. It used to be that with an advanced dining reservation, you just had a leg up. You didn't have to wait. But if you didn't have one, you could still wait. Now that's really not a thing unless they tell you specifically that there's standby available. You could go to try to eat at a place, and even if I want to sit there for 3 hours and wait to eat at Space 220, you can't. It's not an option anymore because of the everything has to be set in place in advance. And one of the topics I'd like to cover down the road is like how do people, and I come back to this all the time, how do people who don't know the system like the four of us do, and again, we all come from different worlds, whether we're local adjacent, have small kids, you guys have small kids. It really is like, we're kind of representing a little bit of everybody here, but not the person that hardly ever goes or has never been. That we don't have a representation of here, and I think that's the one that I think will be, one and done with a Disney trip at this point because they show up and need to. Did you do a park pass? Do you have your park reservation? You don't. We have a ticket. No, that's not the same thing. You need a park reservation. Oh, okay. Well, now I have my park reservation. Do you have? There's that short line over there. How do I get in that? Oh, that's Genie Plus. You don't have Genie Plus? You should get Genie. I don't know how they do it, so we definitely need to have a 101 on that one. But when it comes back to the mobile order thing, I want to get Desi your take on it because again, you go probably more often. Do you use it? Did you use it before?
Yeah, I used it before, but only when I thought it was going to be convenient. Like if I saw that there was a super long line, then yes, I would use it. Otherwise, I didn't feel like messing with my phone. If the line wasn't too long, I would just go ahead and wait in the line for food if necessary. I have a friend who doesn't go terribly often, but she goes, reasonably often. Like she'll go once every few months or so. And so she took her mother this month to go to Disney World for her mom's first time in years. And the mom is not mobile savvy, could not figure out the app. They paid for Genie Plus. They couldn't figure it out. They didn't even go on one Lightning Lane because they couldn't figure out the app. They couldn't figure out the mobile order. So they wound up eating at like the lunching pad or something terrible because it was something that was available without mobile order. So it's just, I feel really sorry for these people who don't know what's going on, don't know how to use the app, or, you know, it might not even be that they couldn't figure out the app. It could be that the app was just having bugs that day because they said that they were talking to another guy who couldn't get the app to work that day either. So I don't know. I feel really bad for these people. My husband is also a travel agent, so he's trying to explain to people over the phone what they have to do. And when I hear him talking to people, I realize how many steps there are, how many different things they need to do, how many things they need to figure out before they get there. Whereas I, as a local, like, I'm doing this every weekend. I get it. I know what I have to do. And I'm keeping up, you know, with the news every week to figure out what's the new thing. What do I have to do now that's different that I have to do than I had to do last week? So it is really tough for people who aren't here all the time.
You know what I would almost compare it to, and maybe this is wrong, is like football. Like my daughter was like, "Hey, explain football to me," and I'm like, you start to explain it, and it's just because I grew up with it. Like I know, like, and as the rules have changed over time, and who does what. Well, so they need to go 10 yards, but they have 3 downs to do it. But if they get to the 4th down, they can still try to go. But if they don't make it, then the other team gets the ball. I mean, it's just like going through all these rules, and there are things that here, as in this Disney universe or this Disney bubble that we are in, that we've picked these things up along the way. Now there was an avalanche of news once COVID happened. Like now we have park reservation systems. Well, we don't know what those are, and we need to learn what those are. And now there were temperature checks, and what does that mean? And there were so many things that happened, and so many changes that happened. And then Genie Plus and Lightning Lane and Genie. We need the Eric Mortons of the world to sacrifice himself to go in and do a Genie Day, so that we know what Genie is and what it does. So all of these things that are happening with this stuff, I just, again, like I said, it blows my mind that people would have to kind of learn all this stuff on the fly. And it's interesting when you're in the parks to hear people having the conversations about certain things, and well, you have to do. They're giving each other advice, and sometimes it's wrong, and you want to step in, and then you go, no, this is their thing to do. But back to
I witnessed multiple meltdowns. Like we were at Be Our Guest. We got a reservation for Be Our Guest. My wife was able. Somebody canceled. She was in a Facebook group. She was able to book it, and there was only 4 of us. We had 5. So I walked up to the cast member, and Janice, if you're out there, I love you. I said to her, hey, I've got 4. I've got a little one. And she noticed I was wearing a cast member shirt. And she's like, are you with WWNT? And I was like, yes. And she's like, we love you guys. What do you want? Our reservation was in an hour. She pushed us up an hour ahead, and we ate, and we just got lucky. Shout out to her. She got a cast member compliment for sure. But there were people that were like screaming at her, like, what do you mean I can't just walk in here and eat? She's like, we need a reservation. Well, how do I get one of those? And they were just screaming and yelling, and it was just a lot of angry people. They just assume, oh, it's like any other restaurant. You can walk up, and they couldn't fathom, like, in their head. Like, if you go to New York City or you go to a city and you don't normally just walk into a restaurant that's popular, you generally have to have a reservation. But people just think because of the cost of the trip that they can just walk in and go. And it was definitely, I witnessed that a few times, even with mobile order. What do you mean I got a mobile order? My kid's screaming, yelling, I want to eat something. Especially, around this time of year when people just aren't used to doing it. Oh, I'm going to jump down there for the holiday. So, yeah, real frustration for sure.
Not really having anything to and I totally that I feel like that story could be told by 100 different people, that are watching right now. But when you've got there are other issues with mobile order that I don't think they've thought about. One is that, like, the lines were designed for walk up to the register, get your food, turn the corner, wait for your food, leave. They weren't designed for mobile order. So it's weird when you go into Satuli and there's no one in there, but they've got these windows for the that. There should
So true.
Yeah, it's so it wasn't set up for that. Versus if you're in Fantasyland and you're at Friar's Nook and you're trying to do that, that's a nightmare because there is no space and there's no other place to wait. They can't make you wait.
And because that's the worst place. Like the service at Friar's Nook is the worst.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say there's a larger conversation to be had over this. We can talk about all the technical merits and drawbacks of the Genie and the app and all these things. I think there's this overarching idea of what it means to experience a theme park. And there is one way that they've decided, maybe through guest feedback or maybe on their own, is the way that guests should experience a theme park. So for me, I'm not the person that has to knock out every ride. I don't have to go bang, bang, bang on attractions. I can sit there in the park and just enjoy the scenery and enjoy the atmosphere and enjoy, just being there. And I don't need an app telling me this is what you should be doing and you should be doing that. So that's like your Genie conversation, right? If you know a little bit more about the parks than your Genie Plus thing. But still, they're designed to maximize the amount of rides you go on. They're not necessarily designed to maximize your enjoyment of your day. And so when you see me in the parks, often I don't know where I'm going next, let alone what I'm doing the next like 4 things, right? There are people who are planners and who attack this like in a military manner. You watch me walking out of like living with the land, you go, where are you heading? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to walk around and see where there's like, some kind of food item that might sound cool or whatever. So it's just for me, the app kind of kills a little bit of that. That's how I discovered the parks. That's how I fell in love with them, was finding my own reason to be there and my own things to enjoy.
I think I've gotten to the point now where I'm a path of least resistance person when it comes to that, and very similar to what you're saying. If I walk out of the land, I'm like, what's next? I'm going to look and see what are the wait times? Am I hungry? I'm not really going to be playing by those rules either because I go so often. But Dawn, who's in chat, says people who don't research are generally doomed. I think that's the person who does like the trip that that Coach planned. Like, if it's the one time and you've got kids, it's a different story than what you're talking about, right, Eric? So it's like you've got to go down and you've got to get the most out of it. That's when you got to do like Dawn says and really have your plan together. But what I've always hated about and loved about this in the past was that you've got to decide 90 days in advance that on a Tuesday in September I want to eat at Tony's, and then after that I want to go and get on Peter Pan. Like it just doesn't make sense. So it takes, to your point, it takes that spontaneity out of it. And again, I've brought up Dollywood a lot just because I happen to have gone. But moving that conversation to Universal, you just show up. I mean, you don't need a park pass. You haven't needed a park reservation since day one at Universal of returning from COVID. They opened earlier than Disney did. They opened without a park reservation system. They did not crumble and fall. They've only gotten more people who have been interested in annual passes, and they've given away more annual pass perks and all that because they didn't set up this infrastructure. But when I go on to this app and I look at this menu right here of these are all the things I have to plan. I have to check dining availability or order food, or now I have to check myself out at the store, which...
And you can't even make a park reservation on the app. You have to do that through the website.
Right.
There was a...
Which will not save my password no matter what I do, by the way.
Right. The password, that's the thing, too. When but I was going to say there was this comedian who was talking about like self-checkout at grocery stores. Like, oh, do I work here now? Should I clock in? Like, these are my clothes. Do you have clothes for me to wear? Like, I mean, it was one of those like, when you have to order your own food and then do the shop in and all the check-in and all this other stuff that's on here. It's a lot.
Yeah, why do you have someone check in? Why do you have someone looking at my receipt on the way out of the store? You trusted me enough to check myself out, and now you don't trust me? Maybe you should have hired someone to pick me out if you don't trust me.
Yeah, it's super frustrating. But one other piece of it is like Photopass, right? So Photopass, is a thing kids used to get with your annual pass. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but Photopass is one of those things where, you would tap your band and it would go in. I did Disneyland for the Oogie Boogie nights and photos were included, but they were like, they were like, here's how you will have to do this. Open the app, go to this photo place, go to add photos, go to link photos, go to this, open it up. It'll give you a QR code, and then I'll scan that. And I'm just like standing there going, okay. I mean, like having to flip through everything. And then one of the Photopass people said, you know what you should just do is just screen grab that and then just have that in your camera roll, and then we'll just scan it, moving forward, because he knew what a pain it was to trip through the app to try to find that. And I'm a fairly tech savvy guy, but it was like, it's not intuitive. It's not a tech savvy issue. It's buried, again, a point you made earlier, Eric, is buried deep in the app, that it's just like finding these things is impossible. And there have been nights where it's the end of the night and my phone is dead, and I don't know where there's a fuel rod station, or I haven't had it, or for some reason I didn't remember to bring my charging cable, and it becomes a nightmare for that. But the final thing I want to talk about is opening the doors, because I don't think that works very well. Is you're supposed to be able to use your phone now to do all the things Magic Bands now that they've set it up so you can use it to charge things, which you could have done already with Apple Pay. Now you can also use it to tap into the park, or like you said, Eric, your watch. And then also you can use it to open your room, which I just never have any success with that. It seems like such a pain in the butt. And to your point earlier about logging back in, you get there, you're exhausted, you've been traveling all night. And again, this is more of a coach thing, but you've been traveling all night, you get there, you got the bags, the kids, and you're like, okay, I got to open the door. And then you're running the phone like this, trying to open the door. And it's like, Dad, come on, we want to get into the room. I'm trying. And
especially like the boardwalk when you had a 19-minute walk to your room.
Lord help you if you got to go back to the front desk, right? I mean, that's a thing. So in those cases, back to Desi's point, I just prefer a Magic Band for a lot of that stuff. But it seems like they're trying to push us into the mobile thing by Magic Bands aren't free anymore. So, with your stay. So if you want a Magic Band, you got to buy one, or trying to, give us the option, which seems like a good thing, to be able to put it on your Apple Watch, so you don't have to wear an Apple Watch and a Magic Band. But I don't want to
This was like a slap bracelet thing that I took the slider off of and put on my watch.
No, I was thinking more about Eric tapping in with his Apple Watch, but
hey, I'm an analog guy, I guess.
But I mean, it really kind of goes back to the fact that it went like, I thought things were okay when we had Magic Bands, and now they're moving us more toward the mobile, and I just feel like the phone can't handle it.
Just so you know, I've heard this multiple times. There is a number of Magic Bands that can be stored in a lock.
Yes.
So if you're a person who has 20 Magic Bands, there's like a 30% chance that your Magic Band is not going to open that lock. So rather than tell you that, they just send you on your merry way down the hallway. You hold up your Magic Band and nothing happens. You walk back, you talk to someone, they do some kind of magic, I guess, on your Magic Band. And then in an ideal world, it works when you go back the second time. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm batting like 250 on these things.
No, and that's a great point. And again, for anybody who's watching that didn't know that, yes, if you have too many Magic Bands on there and you get to the front desk, they'll tell you that's the problem, and they'll be very accusatory about it. They're like, well,
they blame you.
You have too many Magic Bands. Oh, I'm sorry, I spent too much money here. I apologize. It really is frustrating, like when that happens. But I'm sure the cast members are frustrated because it's not their fault either. And this is the 900th person who's come up to them and said, my Magic Band's not working. Well, they're probably already guessed at this point what the problem is that you've got too many active on your account, which, again, should be something you can fix on the back end and not have to trouble the guest or the cast member. I feel like it should be fixable on the back end somewhere. But we've gone way over. I feel like this was a big topic we needed to talk about. I think we'll try to tackle some more stuff that has to do with processes, because there are so many now that I think that it would probably be helpful for people if we talk about processes that you need to know and go through and see what everybody's different take is. That's why we have a panel of people, is that everybody comes from a different place and has a different idea of what's important to them. Eric's idea of important is different than Coach's, is different from Desi's. So, thank you guys for getting in on that. I want to do once around to get final thoughts from you guys on the Magic Mobile and the phone and the entire system, the topic we've talked about. I'll start with you, Eric.
There was something else I wanted to talk about tonight.
Talk about it.
So Disney released the video of the guy from the Goldbergs, I forget what his name is, went on the Galactic Star Cruiser. He saw the performance by Gaia. Gaia is a diva of outer space. She's like the biggest star in the universe. She's got tentacles. She's singing aboard this luxury
She's a Twilight.
starship. And then it disappeared, right? They took it down. And there's all this speculation because people didn't like it or whatever. Here's my conspiracy theory. I think they took it down because they got a cease and desist by whoever created the Fifth Element, because that character and backstory is a direct ripoff of the diva from the techno opera in the Fifth Element, right down to the tentacles and the backstory that she might be a famous singer, but she really has some kind of alternative purpose. So there we go. That's my conspiracy theory of the week. Also, Magic Mobile. I hope Disney keeps improving it. How's that?
Sounds good. Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I just came back, had a great time. The mobile obviously was a little bit confusing. I did my research. I had WWNT to help me with everything. But even still, it was a challenge. And I think Disney's not listening to their customers when their CEO is afraid to appear 23 and is scared by a man who now lives in a 3-bedroom apartment in Florida. To me is pretty telling. I think we are effective, though, when we voice our opinions and we tell the truth. The trams are back because we called them out on it. Right? Eric was sitting there. They brought a slide up. She just glanced right over it. Became news. Sure enough, there you go. Desi talks about it. Things happen. We have to voice our opinion. Ultimately, I think when we do that, things happen. I mean, like anything else, it's people aren't happy. I saw it firsthand. People were, I'm never coming here again, Disney, and people were just huffing and puffing. There was a 25-minute wait to talk to cast members during the fireworks. So that goes to tell you that people aren't happy. So I just think you should. It's still a magical time, though. If you love it and you do your research and do what you need to do, you can have a great time. But you just have to. You can't just show up and go. Can't be show and go. You got to do some research on it. So, but that's my take.
Cool, Desi.
I think that they are purposely not making the mobile experience as awesome as it could be, because when the new Magic Bands come out, they want you to spend the big bucks on those Magic Bands, and hopefully those actually open up all of your hotel room doors, get you into the park. You can pay for things with it. That's what my conspiracy theory is going to be for the day.
Okay, that's fair. So basically, I feel like things were good at one point where we had an entire system that was set up to be helpful to the guest with the setting up your fast passes and your ADR ahead of time, and then you get in, you fly down and they take you on the Magical Express to your hotel. And then once you're there, you can use your Magic Bands that you got for free to get into everything that they ship to you. And then, things seem to be good. I feel like every time they're making a move, it makes it less good right now. And again, that's me, who likes to drink the Kool-Aid and go there, and I have a great time. And Coach, you said it too. It's like, it's still magical. But it's really frustrating that, that when your phone dies or gets logged out, or you can't get, like, you got somebody standing there waiting for you and you didn't get the password, and you got to get a password reminder and a second authorization verification. It makes it not magical. So I hope that there's going to be some tweaks and turns, and maybe someday we'll get rid of park reservations as well, just because I don't like them. But let us know in the comments what you think, and we appreciate you guys hanging on with us. If you are a WIGS member, part of the WDWNT Interglobe Society, our Patreon program, there is a post show. So we will be with you on the post show. If you need to get more information about how to be a WIGS member, you can go to patreon.com/WDWNT. We also have a store where we sell things, carouselproducts.com, where we have shirts for Disney, like the one that the Coach is wearing, the hat that he's wearing. We had this great Gertie long sleeve shirt that sold out. So, hopefully you guys got one. That sold out. Then we had this great Christmas, 50th Christmas tee that is sold out. So, again, thank you guys to everyone who has bought that merch, has worn it into the parks. We try to make things for you guys that we think you'll like because it's the stuff that we would like. And so, there's a lot of cool stuff still on there, though. CarouselProducts.com, including the Merry Splashmas ugly holiday sweater T-shirt, which is one of my favorites. So check it out. And again, if you're a Wigs member, we have a post show coming up. If not, please join us every Sunday night at 8 p.m. for more ParksCenter. We will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Fare thee well.
Ba-da-da-da.